Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted. Everybody around me thugging. Everybody around me drugging. Everybody around me hustling. Everybody know not to bring no new riggin' around me. They say I be bugging. Got racks in the go-yard luggage. Just cause I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted.
So guys, welcome to the podcast. This is actually Mitzi Diane's show, but I'm super honored to be able to actually be taking the lead on this one. And we're going to be talking about mindset, expanding the mind, how we vibrate, the context and the difference between context and content in our mind. And so, Mitzi, thank you for being here. I'm super, super excited. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Heck yeah. You're always doing great. I love it. Even when we're not doing great, we're doing great.
Oh, yeah. It's about what you put your mind on, what you focus your mind on. You've heard about the reticular activating system, right?
I've heard about it, yes.
I like to talk about it a lot.
I love it. So let's talk about this. Let's jump right in. No need for fluff. Let's hop in. So reticular activating system?
Reticular activating system.
Reticular activating system.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us about this, and what does this have to do with expanding the mind and how we operate?
Well, it's basically like a bouncer between your subconscious mind and your conscious mind, and it decides what to show you. And a lot of the sages back in the day, even elites, people who know more about how the mind works, they know to focus on what you want. And it's also like a mountain biker. If you're trying to go down the trail, you're not trying to look at what you don't want to run off into. You want to keep your eyes on the trail so you don't fall off. And so the reticular activating system is also talked about through Mel Robbins. I think Joe Dispenza talks about it. All these neuroscientists talk about it. Because it's basically how we work, and it's good to know how the mind works. So your subconscious mind is the first thing that sees everything. It processes 40 billion bits of information every second. So it's read everything in the room. It knows what's going on. But why do you only see certain things? The reticular activating system is the one showing you only consciously what it thinks you want to know. How does it know what to show you? It goes off your beliefs. What you've chosen to focus on. And that's why our beliefs are always reinforced back to us. That's why they can be so strong within us. Like, no, this is what I believe. I see it all the time. No, this is true because I see it all the time. It's true because you've made it to be true for you because that's where you've put your focus. So it's cool.
That's powerful.
Cool stuff.
So I heard an illustration discussing how important reticular activating system is, or how it works, I should say. And this was from Tony Robbins. He says, have you ever been shopping for a car and you choose the car, you know what color, you know what make, what model you want, and all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere. And he asks, is it that car is now just popping up everywhere? He's like, no, like that car has been around you this whole time, but you haven't been looking for it. Right now that it's a part of your life, something that you want, your reticular activating system is showing it to you.
Yeah.
Is that a good illustration or what?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I said this in the last podcast with Q, but here's another one too, because we have opportunities around us all the time, but why aren't we seeing them all? So I had dropped $100 bill downtown, and I thought I'd go back the next day and see if it was still there. So I went, and it was, and there was like 3 homeless people sitting around it, and they didn't see it. So I come up, I pick it up, I look at it, put it in my pocket, and they're like, that was there the whole time? I'm like, yeah. So I walk off, and one of my friends was like, are they stupid or something? I'm like, no, they're not stupid. They just didn't believe it could be there.
Wow.
So they didn't see it. You won't see. A lot of times you won't see what you can't believe. So you have to, your mind even makes up stuff for you. Do you know you could like look at a picture that isn't even fully filled in and your mind fills it all the way in, and it's not until somebody tells you that's not all the way there that you won't notice that not all of it was actually there. The mind just fills it in for you. We fill in context.
Sure.
and it's like, it doesn't have to be true, but it's true for us because that's what we're seeing. So for these homeless people, abundance is not in their paradigm. It's not in their reality. So to find $100 wouldn't even make sense for them, even though it's right in front of them. So how many times have we had something?
Go ahead.
How many times have we had something that was right in front of us that we just didn't see all the time? All the time.
Yeah.
Because we didn't believe it could be.
That reminds me of a game me and my dad used to play whenever we would drive cross country, and it would be something goofy, like we would say, I spy something this color, and it's absolutely insane how many things, whenever you're looking for it, how many things you could find with that shade of color that you're looking for. And isn't that similar, right?
Oh yeah.
When you are intentionally looking for something, or you've programmed your mind to be looking for something, you can find exactly what you're looking for. But Mitzi, if that's the case, then doesn't that mean that the reticular activating system in our mind can also work in a negative way?
All the time.
Right?
Yes, it can do that too. So if you believe that you're unlovable, you're not worthy of love, you're going to see everybody who's going to prove that back to you. And so if you believe that you have to work hard for your money, if you believe you have to do this to get this, that's the opportunities you're going to find revealed to you. And that's why some people are like, no, you do have to work hard for this. Yeah, that you believe that because you've been shown that over and over because you've chosen to believe that. So that's the opportunities that is going to be shown to you.
So that's where it gets tricky, because not because we believe it and we've experienced it means it's true. This is where life gets tricky, right? Because if I've been given this belief that I have to work hard for money, which, by the way, most poor and middle class people believe, right? That if that's my belief that I have to work hard for money, then I'm going to find experiences and conversations and situations that constantly validate that, because I'm looking for that. That's going to verify that belief and strengthen that belief. And it's going to just be a cycle, a vicious cycle my entire life. And that's going to be my belief, right?
Yeah. And even if
that's
you have
scary
a goal,
almost.
and it is, because a lot of people really do truly believe their beliefs because they've been constantly validating them through their reticular activating system. So you experience what you've chosen to believe, and it's all a reflection of the inside.
That is so insane. That is such a mind twist.
Yeah, all your problems, you have a belief supporting it. All the good things, you have a belief supporting it.
So let's take this a next level. Let's take this to the next level. So the reticular activating system is constantly looking to show us what it thinks we want to see. It's based on our beliefs. So I feel like it begs the next question, which is, okay, how do I, first of all, identify my beliefs? And then how do I change my beliefs?
So to identify your beliefs, some of them are going to be easy because you're aware of them. But some of our beliefs are actually been like, we do reap what we sow. But we just didn't know a lot of that had been sowed for us when we were younger. So these younger, like from child, like all the way up to like 7 years old, your brain is open, your subconscious mind is open, you're being brainwashed the entire time. You've got a fertile soil and the seeds are being planted by all kinds of people all around you. And so your life, if you want to know what your beliefs are, look at your life. If you want to know
Bars.
if you want to know what you think you deserve, look at your life. You
Holy
already
crap.
have it.
That's super sobering.
Yeah, you already have it.
So my beliefs about my body, I can look at my body. My beliefs about my relationships, my beliefs about money, I can look at my bank account. So all I have to do is look at the results in my life, and that will tell me what my beliefs are.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, Mitzi, because me and you are both coaches. We sit in rooms with, anywhere from 5 to a few hundred people or more. And if we were to ask people if they believe being rich is the right or good thing, most people would raise their hand and say, yes, I believe being rich is the best way of life and the right thing to do. But if they looked at their bank account would say the opposite. So what accounts for that discrepancy? Why is it that I can consciously say, no, I do believe that I should be rich. I do believe that I'm worthy of love. I do believe all these things. But then if I look at my life, like it's a complete contradiction. Like, what accounts for that then?
You're out of alignment. Your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are not in alignment with each other. So even though your conscious mind is what sets the goal, the subconscious mind is what achieves it. So what the problem is, and this is where a lot of people have self-sabotage and everything, is that there's a belief in you somewhere that you can't have it, that you're not worthy of it. Wow. It's for other people, not you. Or whatever it may be. Yeah. And this is also, and I want to touch on this too, because this is why it's important to have focus and intention so that you can see where in your lives it's not working. This is when people start a new business like wholesaling, they'll be all over the place. And I know I'm kind of sidetracking, but they'll be all over the place. No, you're making
a point.
And the problem with that is the reticular activating system doesn't know what to focus on. You know, so you're just taking in whatever, but it's like, okay, but what are you really looking for? You have to be clear for it to be able to be clear, to show you the clearer vision, to show you how you can have that. Now, the people who have this, I think it's good to be wealthy. I think that's a good thing, but then they're not showing it. Well, let's write it down. Okay, why am I not wealthy? Oh, well, I think I got to work hard for it. Or I think that money doesn't grow on trees. I think that I have to do this before I can do this. You know, like, well, this is how you stay safe. Like, what all beliefs are around that's keeping you there? Because there's maybe multiple beliefs in that you got to undig and figure out and then rewrite those beliefs. And how do you rewrite it? You're asking that. How can you change that?
Yeah. So how do you change that? But let's identify this first thing, because I think that was so important. The first step, you said, we need to identify what our current beliefs are by asking myself, why am I not where I feel like I should be in whatever aspect of life, and write those beliefs down, those beliefs that are there, write those down, right? And then what would be the next step that you're getting into?
I'm glad that you just said that, because I do want to add something to that too. If you notice what you're writing down is blaming anybody else or anything else, you're doing it wrong. It has to be about how you think about it. So the next step is, what could I believe to change that? What do I need to do to change that?
What a different way to view things.
Yeah. How can it get better than this instead of how could it get worse, any worse? You know how some people ask that question, like, how could it get worse than this? Well, you just asked your reticular activating system to show you worse.
Holy moly.
And that's how the mind works.
That's so crazy.
You got to be careful how you're talking to yourself. Everything you're taking in is nourishment or poison. That's your songs you're listening to, those jokes you're even talking. That's how you talk to other people, how you talk to yourself. All of this can either be nutrition or food. So you got to be very clear on, what are you really feeding yourself? What are you saying? Are you singing songs about, like, love songs about people breaking up and then you wonder why you don't have a good relationship? Are you watching soap operas where people are cheating and you're taking in all of this, and your reticular activating system is taking it in too? Your subconscious mind is taking all this in. It doesn't know what's real and what's not real.
Wow.
And so, like, you have to be very, very careful about everything that you're taking in. So, and take responsibility for that and be like, okay, well, I want to change this belief. I can't be wrapping around. If I'm trying to change my belief about love, I can't be singing all these country songs or rap songs about cheating and bad relationships.
Whoa.
Because that's what I'm feeling right now. And I want to do, you know, so some people will go through a breakup and they're playing all these sad songs. They're actually keeping themselves in that situation.
Wow.
Even if they were to find a new relationship, they just found a new person with different face, same person.
So what that tells me then is, we are so incredibly designed that we have these tools within us, the subconscious mind, the reticular activating system, that are designed, right, to serve us, and we could use them if we just knew how. I didn't grow up knowing what this stuff is. I didn't grow up knowing how to use these tools.
Me neither. I wish I would have.
Insane.
It would have made things a lot easier, because I think a lot of us are actually slaves to our mind, and we don't realize that we're supposed to be in charge of it, that we really are in charge of it. And when we do take mastery of ourselves and get to know ourselves and get to know our minds and how we really work, then, man, anything's possible for you.
Yeah. Okay, there's a few other things I want to talk about. I do want to share this. I did an exercise with my team. This is like what you said reminded me of this. And I asked my team, how many of you believe that you should be rich, and you believe that money is good, and you believe that money, and all these amazing, beautiful beliefs about money. I asked them. They all raised their hand. And I asked them if their results match up with that belief. And none of them at the time did. So I'm like, so one thing we know is that you don't really believe those things.
Yeah.
Your conscious mind, which is designed to keep you from feeling embarrassed because you're not supposed to say you hate money and that money's bad. But I said, I'll put like 5-10 minutes on the clock, and I want you to write down what you truly believe about being rich. Write down what the thoughts and the energy and the spirit that comes to your mind and heart when I say being rich. I was flabbergasted. Some of the beliefs were, I don't deserve it. Some of it was, I'm terrified of the taxes that would come from being rich. Some of it was, I need to lie, cheat, or steal in order to get there. I won't be able to handle the stress of being rich. And I was like, isn't this amazing? All of us consciously said being rich is good. But when we really took time to identify our beliefs, all of you guys, and it wasn't like a judgmental thing, it was more of like an open thing. All of you guys have massive amounts of fear around being rich, massive amounts of like these really limiting beliefs around being rich. And I'm like, no wonder we're so frustrated in this life where our conscious mind says, I want to be rich, I want to be healthy, but there's all of these limiting beliefs that we have that are really keeping us back from it. It's like almost like having our foot on the gas and brakes at the same time in life. Right?
We that's why a lot of us don't have what we want, is because we're doing that. And then we're like, why is this so hard? It's like, well, take your foot off the brake and then you can keep going. But when you look at it, it's like, okay, how did they grow up? Mm-hmm. Who were they watching that was wealthy? That was probably not a good person.
Facts.
Who were they watching that was a hard worker that seemed to be giving the credit of this is a great man because they're a hard worker. So
Wow.
it's what kind of seeds have been planted in them to make them think that way.
Yep.
And then it's like, was that really working for that person? Are these beliefs really working for you? And questioning that and then doing something about that. But there's something you said about how it came back to fear. There's a book called Power versus Force, the Hidden Determinants of Human Behavior.
I remember you recommended that book to me like back in 2018.
I love the book. So Dr. David R. Hawkins is a great author. Check out all of his books. There's another one called Pathway to Surrender, Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender. Oh my God, amazing book. For anybody who's having a hard time letting go of anything, should read the book. But, which is everybody. That's everybody. So Power versus Force talks about how it puts a chart and basically puts the emotions on force and the emotions on power. And shame, guilt, fear are barely vibrating.
Whoa.
And that's where a lot of us actually stay, the shame, fear, guilt.
That's what we would call low. That's what we would call low vibrational.
Low
right?
vibration, lower states of consciousness, and this is force. So in this state, you have to force everything.
Wow.
You have to feel like you're forcing to get what you want, but when you force, you hit a pendulum and it goes one way and then it comes back the next and hits you back. Like in force, you can make a lot of money, but you're going to lose it.
Wow.
So
you're saying
you can't force.
So because I want you to keep going. I just want to extract this. What you're saying in a practical, because this is how I see this applying to business. If my motivation is fear, if I'm building my business out of fear of being broke, I can force my way to riches, but it's a pendulum, and you can only force for so long before that energy will come back to you, and that money it's not gonna last.
No, it boomerangs back, hits you on the head.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Same thing with shame. Right? If I'm only doing something because I'm shamed into doing it, that's force.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back. It's not gonna be sustained. Guilt, same thing, right? Holy moly. Okay, so I love this. So keep going.
Yeah, so it goes up, and it's like it even goes all the way to pride, which vibrates at 175, which is still below power. And but people, when they're getting prideful, so there's anger, there's grief, there's anger, there's pride. Most people at pride feel okay. They feel like they're good. But But when you get over to courage, willingness, neutrality, acceptance, peace, joy, enlightenment, this is where power is. This is how Gandhi was able to win.
True power.
Yeah, that's true power. Was he like hustling, or was he forcing his way? No.
That's not what we know Gandhi as. No.
Didn't even pick up a gun. Like,
by the way, let's break this down really quick. Power, the way I define it, let me know if you're on the same wavelength as this. Power is the ability to affect change in general, and the ability to influence people in the context of people, right? So you're saying power, true power, comes from which states of mind? Because you just listed them.
High vibing states of mind where you're at courage and up. Courage and up.
What are those? What are those?
So if you look, you can actually Google the chart. Guys, you need to Google the chart, Power versus Force by Dr. David R. Hawkins. And it has courage. I think it's courage, neutrality, acceptance, peace, joy, love. Love is 500. And then it goes up to enlightenment.
Yeah.
There's a few more, and then there's enlightenment. But love is at 500. Whoa. Love or above was a course that I took a while back after I learned about Power versus Force, and that course was actually made off of the book Power versus Force.
Wow.
By somebody else that read the book. And basically, I think it's so important for us to get to know ourselves. You know, on the Temple of Delphi, the 3 maxims that are on there.
I don't know
any of that.
No. I'm like, I don't know any of this.
You're like, I don't know. All right. One of the maxims on the Temple of Delphi was know yourself. And so a lot of people will be like, oh, I just shove my emotions down. I don't worry about my emotions. I grit through my emotions. You shouldn't, because you need to know yourself. That emotional state that you're in is the energy you're giving to that moment. So if you're like just shoving it down, no, you got to know yourself. What emotional state are you in? What energy you're putting into this? What state of consciousness are you putting into this moment right now? And you got to fix that if you want something good out of it. You can't just shove it down. Avoidance doesn't do anything for us. So it's like, so know yourself, and in those emotions, like, why am I feeling this way? You know, like, why am I fearful? Well, I'm fearful because I watched my parents go through bankruptcy, or I'm fearful because of this happened. And it's okay. Deal with it. Process that emotion so you can vibe higher. And then, you know, go do something, go for a walk, go hang out with a friend, do something that makes you feel good. And I'm not saying like, don't work, be responsible, but you need to be responsible with your own energy and what you're bringing into your business, what you're bringing around people and all of that. Go do something to feel better so that you can be in the power. Because whenever you're working in power, that's the flow state. And flow state, that's when you get shit done, and you do it on such a more productive way than the force state. Yeah, you can get stuff done in force, but I would rather do stuff in power, do it easier, do it in more flow state, and then also not have to hit that pendulum, because in power, it's just a being. In force, there's a doing. So there's a difference.
That's so freaking powerful. That's so powerful.
When you be, and not just do, but you be, you embody it in everything, you can't help but call it to you. You're vibrating, you're an electromagnetic being that is just calling out with vibration, just come to me. And it's going to come, good or bad, depending on the vibes that you're putting out. And some people are like, that's victim shaming. I was talking to somebody and they were like, that's victim shaming. I'm like, no, it's important to understand what we're doing to cause some of the things around us to happen. I'm not saying you caused somebody to die or anything, but I'm talking about like things that are happening to you. I had a wreck, and somebody was like, so you caused that wreck? I was like, no, but I know that I was pissed off that morning.
Wow.
And I was not in the right mindset. And yeah, then I got hit.
Wow.
And I was rushing. I was trying to go. And even though they hit me from behind, I was the one who was like, I gotta go. Guess the person who hit me was in that same mindset. Gotta go. They tried running right through me. And it was like, all right, I got to be careful, because we're all magnets. We got to be careful what vibe we're doing to attract what we're attracting.
That's right.
We're responsible for that vibe.
So I think I love this phrase, nature teaches us lessons. And like, let's talk about tangible nature that we can see, touch, and feel, and how I feel like this illustrates this concept of being pushed and pulled, and the difference between force and power. Like, how long could you and I push a boulder up a hill. We could for a certain amount of time, but it's not sustainable to do that forever. Like eventually we're going to get exhausted and that boulder is going to come back and roll over us, right? That's the pendulum, right? But if we were being pulled uphill, how long could we be pulled uphill? Forever, essentially, right? And that's being, right?
Yeah.
I just thought about this right now. I'm actually really proud of that.
Yes. It's being. It's allowing. It's coming to you. It's not. I'm having to make this happen. You're not hitting any pendulum. You're right in the middle. You're just being, and that's whenever you don't hit any pendulums.
So somebody might ask. I'm already thinking about somebody who might be listening to this and they're inspired and they're like, "Oh my God, I've been following this concept of manifestation and this concept of the law of attraction and you are, you become what you think about and all these things." But I could already see somebody asking, but I get pissed off when this person does this. I get depressed when this happens. So how are y'all able to manifest these things if bad things always happen? I always see, ugly things happen. I can't control the actions of other people. And it's hard for me to be in a good state, especially where I am in life right now. So how would you answer that person? And by the way, let's just say that this person is not trying to be a victim. They're not trying to be a bad person. They want to do what you're recommending here. They just don't know how because they constantly find themselves in this state of fear and these limiting beliefs. How do they get to the point where they can be in a state of power the majority of the time?
It took me years. I actually started out as a victim. And what I would say is make more space between your actions and observe. Try to become an observer more and ask questions of, why is this person acting this way? I know they're upsetting me. And that's okay. We're humans. We are having a human experience. We are human beings. We are being human. And it's okay. We're going to have our roller coaster up this power and versus force chart. That's going to happen because we are here to experience these emotions. All of them, not just one or two of them. And we're not supposed to just always be in enlightenment. That would be a lot. And a lot of people try to fake that. That's when you got the biggest egotistical people is the ones that are like, I'm always positive. Everything's always great. No, you want to be positive. You do want to focus on your positive stuff, but you also want to process what you're feeling and understand why you're feeling that way. And when you can understand yourself and then start looking at other people like, how can I understand them more? Like, where is this person coming from to act like this towards me? They're probably hurting. So you can have more compassion. So it's like really being the observer and taking that space to understand the situation, understand yourself and what you're thinking, understand the other people, understand what the circumstance is, and not taking it too seriously. I think whenever I was more victim mindset, I was taking everything personally and taking it way too seriously when it's like, what's the worst that'll happen? Like, really? And like, what's your intention here? Is it to prove yourself right? Is it to prove somebody else wrong? Or is it to understand? And I think if we come from a place of understanding others and ourselves, we can really overcome this whole fearful. And it's okay coming to yourself and be like, it's okay to be scared. Why are we scared though?
Yeah.
It's okay to feel some shame here. That's okay. There's nothing wrong in any of these emotions. They're teaching us something about ourselves, and it's okay. So we got to be able to allow that and be okay with it.
Yeah. I think that's,
because if you don't accept it, you can't get past it.
Yeah, I think that's such a difficult thing, and it's so simple though. I'm sorry. It's difficult for many people to grasp, but it's a simple concept of, I think the easiest remedy to take that most of us do is to suppress if I'm feeling sad or angry. It's like, okay, well, I'm supposed to be excited and enthusiastic or happy, and so I'm just going to avoid these feelings or suppress these feelings. And you're saying, no, don't do that. We're human beings, meaning we need to be human, feel that, accept that we feel it, and then process it. Talk to ourselves, right? And recognize where we are, where we want to be, what steps we can take to get there, and then be proactive and preemptive about it. It's like so easy to say it out loud, right? But actually being in the process and doing it is a completely different thing. But that's powerful.
Well, you're rewiring yourself when you start doing that, especially when you come from a place. I was complaining all the time. I was a huge victim. I was creating more opportunities for me to be a victim. It was so bad. And then I would be like, well, people are snakes. People are. So then I was like, oh, let's call in more, you know? And so whenever you get into that victim mindset, the dangerous part of it is a vicious cycle that's going to call in more to make you a victim. And really, we're not victims. We're adults. We choose our circumstances by choosing who we hang out with, choosing how much money we make with what jobs we choose. Everything we have chosen in this. I mean, we're not in a third world country. We are able to make our own choices. I don't care if you want to blame it on my mom was mean to me when I don't care. Nobody else is making these choices for you. You're deciding who controls you too. You know, you're choosing who you listen to. All of this, you got to take 100% accountability, but then also be okay with everything that you're feeling. I think what people get scared of is when they feel an emotion, they think they got to react. You don't have to act off your emotion. You can just feel it.
That's right. I think that even the way, especially in English, even the way basic English is taught and perpetuated amongst normal people, it actually drives victim behavior. For example, if we're upset, in English, it's easy to say, this person made me mad. And what you're saying is, no, we're adults. They don't have the power to make you mad. The proper thing to say is, I allowed myself to get mad.
Yes.
Right? If I do that, now I'm 2 or 3 steps closer to being able to work from power.
Yeah.
But I'm also accepting. So I'm not suppressing. I'm accepting. I am upset.
Yeah.
But I allowed myself, and now I'm liberated from being a victim, because if I say that person made me mad, now I don't have any power.
You are becoming powerless, and you are giving your power away. And I love that you pointed that out, because that's what a victim is. A victim gives their power away. And when you can claim back that power, you have to take accountability. And taking that accountability gives you power back on, oh, I can change this situation. And you're angry because of how you're choosing to think about the situation. 2 people in the same scenario won't act the exact same ways. Why? If it was this person made me mad, wouldn't they make everybody mad in that same scenario? If that's truth, truth doesn't change. So if it changes, it's not true. So it's like, that person didn't make you mad. Your thoughts about it made you mad. And some people be like, but look, this is wrong. Yes, if you think of it that way, it is. That's
powerful.
Okay. Yeah.
That's really, really powerful. So I heard this story about the power of perspective, and it's really, really, really quick. It's of a gentleman. He's walking down the dirt road from the village, and he sees the farmer with the rake, and he's raking leaves, and he's leaning on the tree. And as he's walking down the road, he sees the tree. The farmer is behind the tree, leaning on the tree and raking. And immediately the person walking down the road says, what a lazy farmer. I mean, we're in the middle of the harvest, and this guy is leaning on the tree in the middle of the day raking. What a lazy farmer. And he continues walking, and as he's passing the farmer in the tree, he sees that the farmer only has one leg, and he has to lean on the tree in order to rake. And he says, oh my God, what a hardworking farmer. He's only got one leg and he's leaning on the tree to rake. So it's our power of perception changes the reality in our beliefs, right?
Yes.
How you can go from viewing this person as lazy and to, in the same breath, right, being like, oh my God, this is the hardest working person in the village, right? And it's the same way with how we choose to view situations, right?
Yeah, and really, I think this is why it's so important to not judge, because we don't really have the full picture to judge anyone.
Facts.
The full picture we have is to judge ourselves and decide to, and I wouldn't say judge yourself, but get to know yourself. Because once you get to know yourself, it's harder to judge everybody else.
Facts.
Because once you accept yourself and all your flaws, because you're never going to be perfect. And I think this is the thing with this false positivity. Most people are like, I got to be positive. I got to be this, or I got to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. you know, even if you're a coach and teaching on something, there's still something for you to learn too in that same area. And I mean, what I'm talking about, I'm only talking about what I think I know. You know, there's still more to it. And it's like, to not ever expect yourself to be perfect. And when you fully accept that you're never going to be perfect and there's always going to be something that could be better about you, first, it'll be a never-ending goal to try to be perfect. So let that go. That's never going to be attainable. Be everything that you are. Just be where you are and be okay with that. And then move from there. You know, I think the acceptance of being where we are and understanding it doesn't matter how hard you work, how many mentors you get, you're never going to be perfect. So quit striving for that. So this being angry, that's okay. Being upset, it's okay. Being in fear, that's okay. Just claim your power back and be an observer and have the experience, and that's okay. Could you imagine how boring this life would be if we didn't have some of the ups and downs, the experiences that we have? We've been given this experience and we're taking it way too seriously. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And I think that goes back to exactly the point that led into this part of the conversation, which is it's not the situation that's making you mad. It's how you're thinking about it. For example, it starts raining outside and it's cold and rainy, and I'm walking to the car and I can choose to be like, this sucks. I hate this weather. It's so stupid. Or I can be like, I am so grateful that I'm alive to be around the rain, which sounds corny. It sounds like that false positivity stuff. But if that's how I choose to, matter of fact, Q, he made a post earlier and he said, I'm grateful. And it said, I'm grateful for the highs. I'm grateful for the lows. I'm grateful for the love. I'm grateful for the hate. I'm just grateful to experience.
Yes.
And what the way I interpreted that was like, this is a part of life. And so I choose to be grateful that I'm alive to experience it. And dude, like that actually has been helping me in my mindset. Like whenever something annoying happens, like, dude, I'm alive that I get to experience it. You know what I mean? So it's not the thing itself, right? It's our interpretation of it.
Oh, yeah. And I do feel like we can get to places, because it's been years of me doing this. Now, there's still things that bother me. I'm not like, you know, I'm not enlightened or anything.
Yeah.
But there's still things that bother me. But there's a lot of things that used to bother me that just don't even bother me anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't see other people going through it. I'm like, it's not as big of a deal as you think.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, oh, I'm being dismissed. No, it's not. I'm not trying to dismiss. It's just try to look at the bigger picture of everything. Right. Like, is this going to matter? And like, in any amount of time from here, like what can you do about it too? Like some things you just got to accept, and that's kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, but
one of my mentors shared something with me. He said, you can gauge how big your thinking is based on how little of a thing it takes to ruin your day. And the illustration that he gave me is, you know, if you have a purpose or a mission and you get a flat tire, it's going to be really, really annoying, but that's not going to ruin your day. You got stuff you need to get done because you have this mission, this vision. You can, you know, if anything, that's something that's laughable, right? Because you have this mission or vision. So he's like, so this is the way he put it into perspective. He says, there are things that ruin an hour. Don't let that ruin a day. There's things that do ruin a day. Don't let that ruin a week. And he goes on and on. There's things that may ruin a week. Don't let it ruin a month. And so he brings it to life by saying, you know, the person broke up with you and you were starting a business and you missed the meetings and it's been a year and you haven't started the business. And then I ask you, why didn't you start that business? And it's like, that person broke up with me. Dude, that was a year ago. You allowed something that should have ruined a week or a month or a quarter. You allowed that to ruin an entire year. You allowed that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And it's delusional, too, because it's not even true anymore. Because, like, it doesn't even exist. Like, if you really think about what's actually existing right now, it's just this moment. It's only this moment. So if you're holding on to any
it's a memory that doesn't even freaking
that you
exist.
made up.
Holy crap. Zoom in on me, man. Zoom in on me. Look at my eyes.
Yeah, we make up.
Dude, that's such a powerful paradigm. That is such a powerful paradigm. So we've talked about so much. there was something that I wanted to talk to you about, and I don't know if the way I'm phrasing it may be different from the way you've been taught it, but I know you understand the concept. But the way I have been taught this concept is the difference between the context of the mind and the content in the mind. And the way it was explained to me, and I want to get your perspective on it, is your context has to do with how much your mind has expanded. And so the way it was explained to me is like a cup of water. If you have a gallon's worth of water and then a cup of water, which is the context, right? This is my mind. And then I start pouring a gallon's worth of water into my context, which is the cup. Eventually it'll start to overflow. Meaning, my context, my cup it's not able to handle all of this water or that content. The water is the content. So it's so important to expand the mind. It's so important to constantly keep expanding the context, because there could be things that are being said around me. There's opportunities happening around me, but because my context is so small, and let's just talk about it in the frame of business, because I want to get your perspective on this. In the frame of business, let's say I've only ever made $40,000 a year. So that's my context. So there's a $1 million opportunity that's within my grasp, and I'm sitting next to the guy at the airport, and this is somebody I can easily make a connection with and shake his hand and be a part of this opportunity, but I'm a $40,000 a year context person. There's $1 million opportunity in front of me that is going to overflow. And it's not going to be captured because of my context. So this is what I thought about whenever you said, I want to talk about expanding the mind. So I don't know if that's the same thing. If so, like, what are your thoughts on expanding the mind, and like, how does a person do that?
I think expanding the mind has to do with planting seeds and being willing to accept, to entertain other ideas outside of your own. And that's expanding, is entertaining ideas outside of your own.
Yeah. So, I gotta say that, because that was such a bar. Accepting ideas outside of your own. That is what it means to expand the mind.
Yeah.
That is literally the best, most simple explanation I have ever freaking heard about expanding the mind.
Well, thank you. What I find myself doing, because I used to be pretty closed-minded, didn't know I was. I thought I was open-minded. But when somebody would be saying something that I didn't believe, I would just shut off. Well, now when somebody says something like far out, like, or anything, I'm like, I want to hear more about that. Even if it goes against everything I believe, I want to hear about it, just so that you can plant some seeds, because that's now expanding my mind. So it's being willing to listen to people with outside views, and most people cut that off and fight it.
When you say it that simple, that's a part of life. That's a part of growth, right? And tolerance is, intolerance is the enemy then.
Yeah.
To say that I will not tolerate anybody who has beliefs outside of mine, I won't tolerate a conversation with somebody who has beliefs that differ or offend me, then I've just closed myself out from the world, and now I'm stuck in a cage of my own mind, which is what you referred to. Full circle. That's how we started off. You said that we are caged by our own minds. We're imprisoned by our own minds. That is incredible. So do you have any tips, recommendations as we wrap up? Like, what can a person do? Let's say they were raised in a small, like me, this is me being selfish, right? Let's say you were raised in a small town. Everybody was either 1 or 2 or 3 races, and everybody was either 1 or 2 or 3 religions, and everybody went to 1 or 2 or 3 colleges and 1 or 2 or 3 main industries that they worked in. We may not even realize how prejudiced we are, not just to people's races and other people, but to concepts. And I'm listening to this podcast right now. Like, what can I do to expand my mind and be more tolerant of newer ideas if it's difficult and uncomfortable for me?
I'd say travel. I think that's one of the best ways to do it, is travel and get outside of your hometown.
What a practical piece.
Yeah, travel and purposely put yourself in groups that you normally wouldn't gravitate to. So if you're a conservative, or if you consider yourself conservative, go into the liberal groups.
Interesting.
And just listen.
Whoa.
And ask questions to understand.
Mitzi with the practicality, bro. What a practical freaking piece of advice. Go ahead.
We
I'm listening.
avoid that.
We do.
avoid
Absolutely. Not only avoid it, but we fight it.
Fight it. We'll kill each other over it.
That is so freaking practical, dude.
And what you notice, or what I noticed, is when I started putting myself out there, traveling, talking to other people, and talking to them to understand, not to put my point of view on them.
That's right.
I realized we're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
We all have all the same emotions. We want the best for our kids. We want the best. We want to feel happy. We want to feel loved. We want to feel seen and heard. Mm-hmm. All of the human basics are in every single one of us. Mm-hmm. I think
for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. Mm-hmm. And when you can see that, and it's just a few beliefs that are off, and you've been judging somebody off of one or two of their beliefs, but all the other beliefs y'all actually have pretty similar. Mm-hmm. You can see why it's ridiculous how much we judge people and try to fight people when you can find similar grounds with almost anybody, and really they can teach you a lot. Because one of my best friends, everything we believed were complete opposites, but I loved it because she challenged my way of thinking and helped me understand a lot more people. And so I really loved that.
I mean, how many times have we all accidentally had the experience of this person who I normally would never hang out with, I would never even look twice at a gas station. We're put in a situation, we get to know that person, it's like that becomes our best friend. Right? Mm-hmm. Or that becomes a partner or a business, associate or something like that. And we end up loving that person. But if on our own, if we were left to our own devices, we would have never reached out to that person or talked to that person because of our own prejudices. That's absolutely incredible. So I love that, that those two tips to expand the mind. Number one, you said travel. Mm-hmm. Travel to different places. And number two, put yourself in circles with people who believe differently than you, who live life differently than you, and stretch your context. Mm-hmm. How do you want to end this show? Because this has been absolutely insane. I feel like I do this entire time. I've had goosebumps. What thoughts would you share with those listening this, just to provide some value in conclusion?
I'd say continue to play and explore in life so you can continue to expand, because I don't think that we really get to know ourselves until we do that. And then when you get to know yourself, you can be completely authentic and give everyone around you the same permission to do that. And I think that's very powerful. So keep on playing and exploring and learning more about yourself.
Guys, here's to playing, exploring, getting to know yourself, and getting to know others. Until next time, let's get it.